Hi, everybody. Dan DeFedericis from Saratoga Report. I am here with Public Safety Commissioner Tim Coll, Saratoga Springs Public Safety Commissioner. Commissioner Coll, how are you doing this cold December morning?
I'm doing well. Always good to see you, Dan.
Oh, thank you, and likewise here. There was a time not too many years back where the holidays, Christmas week, and so forth. There was a lull in politics and controversy in government, and seems like these last few years that's just not the case in Saratoga Springs, is it?
No, I think that's correct. And Commissioner Sanghvi recently made some remarks about Mayor Safford that I don't think she understood how hurtful they are or how bigoted they appear.
Yeah, I think I've had good relations with the Commissioner Sanghvi, but bigoted, I think, is a fair term, especially when you consider she has fought vehemently against other forms of bigotry, and you can't have it both ways, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's helpful, Dan, if I explain, the budget process and then go into participatory budgeting and then end with her unfortunate remarks, if we have a few minutes.
Sure. I'd like to hear what you have to say on the subject.
Yeah. So without getting too far down on the weeds, the way the budget process works in the city, we have a comprehensive budget as the first step. And this year that was developed unilaterally by Commissioner Sanghvi. And it was problematic from the beginning because it didn't have any funding for school crossing guards. It didn't have any funding for our homeless shelter and zero funding for our senior center, as well as some contractual obligations were missing as well. And I know you're a labor attorney and you can understand how important that is. So
crucially, yes.
Yeah. So she left them out. And then, yes, she has said we call it the comp budget is a starting point. But if we don't agree on the amended budget, that becomes the budget. And that would have been really problematic. So at the end of the day, we were between a rock and a hard place to vote on the amended budget. So, but I wanted to, bring you up to speed exactly what happened. So myself, Commissioner Marshall, Mayor Safford, we went through these budget workshops and we worked very hard to restore the funding for all the areas that I mentioned. And those folks are our most vulnerable. School crossing guards impacts our children. The senior center impacts our elderly folks in the city, and certainly the mentally ill that are in the homeless shelters would have been pushed on the street if we didn't fund that. So we worked very, very hard to restore that.
Can I stop you for a second just so I follow along? If there's a majority of the council, which you just listed there were, they can override that initial budget put out by the finance commissioner. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, we would vote on the amended budget, but we're still working through the process. And I would refer you to the tape of November 14th in that budget workshop. And we went to her and said, this is how we, as the rest of the council, Commissioner Moran was absent, how we propose fixing it. And we did come up with recommendations how to fix it. And I will say this, I've been, I'm an athlete my whole life, right? I was a Division I athlete. Every one of my coaches would always say the tape doesn't lie. So I'd encourage the public, go back to November 14th and listen to the tape. And we restored the cuts to our most vulnerable. And I asked her, I said, it's my position, you should remove participatory budgeting moving forward because, right, we have a budget deficit in our city of $3.6 million. That's the number she provided us. That's a huge number that we need to turn around as a city. It means we're in the red $3.6 million, which is approximately 5% of our budget. And when I said that to her, it's important, her response was absolutely. Now, in my world, that means yes. And she never removed it from the budget. And fast forward to her comments recently in the newspaper when Mayor Safford said we were hoodwinked as a city council. That is what, he was referring to. But let me go into participatory budgeting. My feelings on participatory budgeting were formed 15 years ago, and you might have recollection of this. I vividly remember when Governor Spitzer was caught up in a prostitution ring, for lack of a better term, and he was replaced by Governor Patterson. And the first thing Governor Patterson did was fix the member items, right? He fixed them, he removed them, and he reformed the member items because he said the state of New York has a budget deficit and it's fiscally irresponsible to give away money we don't have, right? So I remember that vividly 15 years ago. And I view participatory budgeting just like these member items. What it is you take a certain amount of money from your operational budget and you give it to nonprofits. And that's okay if we're in the black, but we're $3.6 million in the red. So I voted no for that. And so did Mayor Safford, and so did Commissioner Marshall. And I thought that has caused some controversy. But again, Commissioner Sanghvi knew I was going to vote for it. She knew that she didn't have the votes for the council, and she kept pushing it forward nonetheless. And the other thing with participatory budgeting, which I'm a hard stop at. If we have a budget deficit of $3.6 million, we shouldn't be doing this, right? Even though all the projects are virtuous, there's no question. But if I go back to why should we be funding a kiln in the school district when the school district, who has a $160 million budget, it's not a priority for them? How is it a priority for the city? It makes no sense to me, whatsoever.
Right. So, and the city the district has its own taxing authority. If they want a kiln, they can adjust taxes accordingly, I guess, right?
Yes. I mean, we all have to make, difficult decisions with our budgets. The leadership of the city has to do that as well.
But let me clarify something. In the past, I believe you've supported or at least voted for participatory budgeting. I've been a fan of participatory budgeting. The inaugural one, I had I proposed the curling program that's still proposed that's still used by the city rec center. I'm quite I think this coming weekend, I believe, is the first one. So I'm a bit of a fan of it, and I think you've supported in the past. But don't let me misquote your position.
No, I have never supported it, and
okay.
I've never supported it for that reason. Going back 15 years ago, that I articulated. Again, we have no operational money. I have to come to council and beg them to give me money for snow tires for my police cars. If we are doing that, there's no reason that we can also fund participatory budgeting. Because participatory budgeting, they are operational wants. They're not operational needs. And that's my ideology. So, I just want to clarify that.
Okay, fair enough. And this got a little ugly along the way. You touched on it earlier.
Sure.
I think my view, and I'm removed from it all, but I'm from a vantage point. It seems like Commissioner Sanghvi was really upset, and she started, firing salvos at anyone that was against this. Is that an accurate overview?
No, that's accurate. We could all professionally, disagree on our ideology. Commissioner Sanghvi is obviously progressive. She has a very far left ideology. I view myself, and other people view me as a moderate, and I believe in city before party. So I don't believe in that politics has anything to do with budgeting. To me, this is finance, 101. But certainly, Commissioner Sanghvi got upset. And when she gets upset, she starts calling people names, as she did for John Safford. And she made a very unfortunate remark suggesting basically that he had cognitive decline or he had dementia, which I just think it's classless, it's unprofessional, and it's untrue.
Yeah, I think John Kaufman's blog, Saratoga Springs Politics, had a post in the past few days regarding that. He was equally bothered by it, as was I. When you read the quote, it wasn't even qualified. If it was qualified, it would still be a big problem, but it wasn't even qualified. I mean, it was, or at least I don't recall it being qualified. It was just an assertion that the mayor had cognitive decline with no other evidence whatsoever, other than he said something that she disagreed with or that she didn't recall likewise.
Yeah, absolutely. Ageism equals discrimination without question. But John Safford, in my experience, I've known him very closely I've worked with him closely for the past 2 years, right? He is a veteran of this country. He served this country with distinction. He is a man of honor. He's a man of integrity. He is a man of class. He is a man of dignity. He is many times the first person into the office and the last person to leave. He is um, because of his illness. And those things are in contrast, very stark contrast to the way Commissioner Sanghvi operates in her department.
And I think, and I'm sorry if you said this and I missed it here, but I think you told me he's never missed a meeting, Mayor Safford.
Yes, he's never missed a meeting for ill. No, I'm 99% certain he's never missed a meeting. He might have missed a pre-agenda meeting, but he has never missed a city council meeting. And he's there all the time. These are supposed to be technically part-time positions. Now, most of us work full-time. He is, again, the first one there, many times the last one to leave. And, I just think he's a person of honor and integrity. And for me, I believe that Commissioner Sanghvi just owes him a public apology.
So has there been any sort of, either behind the scenes or publicly, any sort of response? And I feel that maybe I should give Commissioner Sanghvi a call after this will be posted probably Tuesday morning. I probably won't have time to put her on video, but just to get her take on it. But as far as I know, she has not issued an apology or anything similar, correct?
That's right. I have not seen a public apology on social media. I've never been told of a public apology, but certainly the remarks were not in good taste.
And now those effects won't go away quickly, but as far as the formalities of the budget and the participatory budgeting not being in and so forth, where does that stand? You've got there were 3 votes that voted to take participatory budgeting out. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it's out of the budget. A budget is a plan, and the budget changes every year based on priorities, new priorities. And I'm going to tell you, we have additional expenses coming down the road too. I can't get into the exact details, but we're in the process of resolving the AG's report, the AG's litigation or pending litigation with us, and that's going to cost us more money in additional training for us as well. So we have other operational expenses that are a priority over these wants. So that's kind of where I stand on it.
And I think the mayor's office is bargaining with a number of the city unions, right, for raises
Sure.
and so forth.
Yeah, and as you know, Dan, they negotiated a raise of 3.5% with DPW last year, and so obviously, as we move forward, we're going to be somewhere in that range. As we move forward with the other labor unions.
Okay. Commissioner, thank you for joining us and enlightening us on this. And I'm going between objectivity, I hope, as well as I'll pivot and give my own opinion, which I've done here. But I am a fan of participatory budgeting. However, you made the case that's fine when we're in the black, but not when we're in the red. And I get that. I support that.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dan. I appreciate it. Always great to be on your program. I wish you and your family Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Okay. Same here, Commissioner. Thank you. Take care.
Okay.